motherfucking trailer.
Would you like to see Gorosaurus versus Man, the solo trilogy from Toho? No, I would not, because nobody gives a shit about those two monsters. So let's be real, honestly. With the exception of a handful of Toho monsters, a lot of them really suck.
To stop the motherfucking lie.
Look at this guy's got glasses. Oh, a sophisticated zombie.
I heard Rodan's in here. I don't know. I don't know if I missed him.
I missed Rodan. On top of the volcano, I missed Rodan. Flying over the water, I missed Rodan. He's been confirmed, established 2014, right here on E.T.N motherfucking N. I have only ever loved one woman. And it ain't you, bitch. Poof. Bye-bye. Have a nice trip. See you next fall, because winter's coming.
I figured, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And number one is Godzilla. Godzilla?
Motherfucking trailer. Friday. How you guys all doing? Don't mind me, I'm like in the middle of eating. Where the hell did I put my fork? Oh, there it is, right in front of me. Yeah, I had this weird issue before starting. I don't know what it was. Every time I tried to connect, it kept telling me that I wasn't connected to the internet. And I'm like, yes, I am, motherfucker. I'm like using the internet right now. Excuse me. So I had to change servers, which made me nervous because there was no guarantee that was going to work. But so far, so good. So let's see how it goes. Kurt Russell in a Monsterverse movie would be so good. Yeah. Isn't he dead, or didn't they try to play him off as dead, or it's like somewhat of a mystery? All right. Don't mind me. I'm trying to finish my dinner before we get fully started, so.
when I can be here live for Rob Space G aneurysms. Dude, it's gonna turn into a heart attack eventually. I think I got new aneurysms developing. Because after I made that video about the Monarch season 2 and then the spinoffs, oh my god! Suddenly, Scar King is everybody's fucking hero. Everybody wants a Scar King prequel series show. A show for Scar King, who is like the weakest part of that whole movie. And why would you do a prequel for a character that's dead? That's one of the reasons why the Solo film failed. Is because they did a Solo movie, a prequel movie for Han Solo, but nobody gave a shit because he was fucking dead. Oh, I don't know where people's heads are at sometimes. Oh, we just ordered out. It's nothing special. I just got like some boneless chicken. Because I'm cooking this huge dinner tomorrow. My parents are coming by. So I didn't feel like cooking today. My wife didn't feel like cooking, so we just got pizza. They're having pizza. I didn't feel like pizza, so I'm just having chicken. All right. Martha and Rodan spinoff. I'm kind of wondering. I don't want to sound like a dick. I'm wondering, after doing this for so long, I'm wondering if people have moved beyond or have tried to maybe explore beyond getting a solo Toho monster movie or something like that, or even a show for this matter. Because, I mean, you would think after all this time, you're not going to get that. And why would they make a spin-off show of anybody other than Kong? To me, that seems like the obvious choice. You made a Monarch show. Godzilla was the focus. You show Kong at the end of the first season. Now you're going into a second season. It might be Kong, Godzilla focus or whatever. And then it's going to veer off into two different shows. One's going to be Godzilla-centric and one's going to be Kong-centric. I think that's pretty obvious. This whole dream of getting a Scar King prequel, or now Shimo prequel, you can make an argue for because she's still alive, and then you can have Scar King in that show for a brief period of time, or you can end the show when Scar King takes control of Shimo. But outside of that, and even the Shimo you can't do because then you have to do ancient times. You would have you'd have human characters, but then suddenly you're going to have the Iwi talking when you already showed them not being able to communicate that way?
Aknogoji 2001 tipped $5. Sup, been a minute, I have been working also, so nukes.
I don't give a shit, Akno. We didn't miss you. Thanks for the 5. All right. Yeah, I don't know. But we'll talk about that later. I know, I don't know. What do you guys want to do first? You want to do the movie first? Do you want to do the idea first? Do you want to talk about spinoffs first? Do you want to talk about Toho? It turned out they announced that they're going to be doing a Godzilla show now, live action. They're going to be showing a trailer April 28th from what I've read. I'm still kind of finding out that hard to believe, but I didn't want to ignore it if it was true. So if I'm wrong, let me know now. But yeah, so there's a Godzilla Fest in Osaka at the end of the month, and I'm hearing they're going to show a trailer there. I don't know how true that is, but that's been the word. This is why I don't know if it's true or not, because so far I don't see anybody else talking about it, so I could be wrong. Well, it is a Japanese franchise from what I heard. Domestic live action Godzilla series. I mean, it sounds like it's a Godzilla series to me. Unless they're talking about season 2 of Monarch. I don't know. But that's what I've read. We'll find out at the end of the month if At least we'll find out at the end of the month exactly what it is. But that's what it's sounding like. Anyway, maybe a Mothra spinoff, seeing that they brought her back and they have more. The only way I could see now, I will say this: I see a Toho monster being on a show more likely than being in a movie. It depends what kind of deal they can cut. If they have to pay to use the monster per episode, it ain't happening. But if they agree to a deal to use the monster for the whole season, and it's a favorable deal, then maybe. But I don't know. I just feel like people have been asking for this for like 10 years, and we got Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah in 2019. That deal was agreed upon in 2014, a little after 2014. And then we got 3 minutes of Mechagodzilla and 6 minutes of Mothra since then. I just don't put it this way. I think they obviously want to use them.
You are one awesome
I just don't
motherfucker.
think they're willing to spend what Toho's charging. I don't think it's a matter of that they don't want to use them. I think they do.
$5. Godzilla as Rocky. Kong as Apollo Creed. Destoroyal as Clubber Lang or Ivan Drago.
Okay. I mean, Godzilla's Rocky Kong. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if that's how you want to view it. Thanks for the 5, Bobby. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool. I just see it as Godzilla, and like when I see Godzilla and Kong or those guys, I don't really compare them to other movie characters. That's just me. I got one more small piece, I promise, then we'll get started. I just want to finish. Bring in Gamera, the Trinity, Godzilla, Kong, Gamera. Now you're talking about a whole new world of problems. They could do a Gamera spinoff. Yeah, if they had the rights to Gamera. But why would they do a spinoff of Gamera when he hasn't even been introduced yet? Like, that makes no sense. Okay, so I'm right about one of those. One is a Kong spinoff. Okay, that's what I figured. It seemed like the most obvious choice. And then the other one starts with a C. Well, I'm not going to try and interpret that. It's just a working title and it's called C, so we'll just leave it at that, I guess. Thoughts on the last Ronin getting an R-rated movie? I have no thoughts. I have no interest in that. It'd be a good way to introduce because an American Gamera solo film would do well. That's not a guarantee. It's more likely it wouldn't do well, but hey, dream on, man. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna take your dreams away from you. All right, we're done. I don't want to see Gamera in the Monsterverse, especially not in his traditional depiction. I don't ever want to say never. I think the biggest question is how they would pull it off. Kadokawa and Toho don't exactly like each other. And Gamera is a turtle. That's, I mean, I'm open to it, but that's a hard sell. Not for us, for general audiences. All right. My dog's bitching. That boy he's complete opposite of Raven. All he does is yip, yip, yip. You think they could do Beast of 20,000 fat? So just bring everything in, right? Let's just open the floodgates. Every living monster in cinema, just bring them into the Monsterverse. That's what you're saying, right? Bring in Ultraman, 20,000 Fathoms, Gamera, Gorgo, huh? Gorgo, how about Gorgo? Want to bring Gorgo in? Just open the floodgates. Fuck logic. Yeah, bring in Elza Gonzalez at 300 feet. Yeah, Aegon the Atomic Dragon. Go, hey, have at it, guys. Dream big. Just don't get upset when it don't happen. That's all I'm saying. Fuck it, let's just bring Dragon Ball Z characters into the mix. Why not? And while we're at it, let's sign up the Fast and the Furious cast and do a crossover. All right? It's good shit. It'll all work. Yeah, DC too. DCMR, bring them all. Do everything. Yep. Whatever you guys want. Sky's the limit. I'm just going to indulge to your absolutely insane wants. Whatever you guys want, we'll do it in the Monsterverse. It's good to be optimistic. It's also good to be sane and realistic. Like optimism is a good thing, but realism is also important to accept that. There's got to be a balance. Me personally, I choose sanity and reality. And then I use, after those two things are checked, right? It's like a computer program. After those two are called in the program and they pass with sufficient score, then we can go to the next tier of the script and we can be optimistic. I'm definitely more optimistic and sane. Yeah, I agree with that. I just want Gamera to be added for a Godzilla vs. Gamera Dream Match movie. I don't think that dream is completely dead. It's hard enough to get Kadokawa and Toho to work together. Now you're going to throw a third party into the mix. I just think that if you do get a Godzilla Gamera one day, it's not going to be with Legendary involved. It's not going to be in a Monsterverse. That's my opinion. Would I like that? Of course I would. Of course, who wouldn't? But again, I live in the real world. Am I going to watch a Fallout show? No, I'm not going to watch that shit. Why would I watch Fallout? Like, what's the interest there? Rob, if they do the Destroyer route, I want Junior to be the twist villain after Godzilla and Destroyer are dead. So essentially, you just want to piss off all kaiju fans? The way people have a hard-on for Junior, you want to make him into a villain? Holy shit. What the fuck is going on? All right, I'm going to stop reading chat and get started with this. Because my brain's already beginning to swell. You guys out of your fucking mind with some of these things. Oh, boy. What in the fuck is going on? You guys have too much, like, your excitement is overtaking your logic. Yeah, you know what? Thanks, Jonathan. I'm going to make sure I grab a box of Wheaties when I do grocery shopping tomorrow, and I'm actually not even going to put it back there. I'm going to leave it right here. So. You're definitely not going to get a Pacific Rim crossover. All right. Let me stop delaying. We know why everybody's here. So looks like the vote's over. All right. It looks like Destroyer of Worlds. So this is going to be easy. Because, I mean, I've done variants of Destroyer in the Monsterverse before, so this ain't going to take long. Then second place came Destroy All Titans, and then last was Invasion. So we're gonna do Destroyer of Worlds. That is the idea I had for putting Destroyer into the movie. So so we're gonna get started with that. Just as a public service announcement for those junior fans, yeah, he's not gonna be in this. Okay, just want you to know.
He really grows on you.
I'm not putting him in this movie. So I'm not.
True Nelson subscribed to the channel.
Thanks for the sub,
one
True.
Awesome motherfucker. Bobby Reynolds super chatted $5. When you are watching a movie with CGI, have you ever felt like you are watching video game cutscene ready to play but someone took your controller?
Ha, that's a pretty good description. If the CGI is bad, then yeah. Like, that's not to say that CGI in video games is bad. It's just a different thing. You know you're playing a game. You know that it's animated. So, but when CGI is bad in a movie that's trying to look real and then it looks animated, then yeah. But anyway. All right. Godzilla X Kong Destroyer of Worlds, which was the title I gave it. So this one is going to involve Destroyer. So the way that I decided based on the last movie, I'm just going to pop off right on this one. I'm not even going to waste any time. The movie's literally going to pick up right after Godzilla X Kong. Literally, like a week later, Godzilla's still sleeping in the damn thing. Kong is starting he's starting to migrate the apes out from the dungeon and into the Hollow Earth open world so they can start developing I don't know, a Titan village. I don't know. You know what I mean? They're trying to get their shit together. All right. Martha, nobody knows where the fuck she is. Right? Now, in this week, we have it that world governments are really starting to press down on Monarch, and they are ready to take over. They want to take over. They're beginning to seize assets from Monarch. They're beginning to, at this time, what Monarch is trying to do is prevent them from primarily going to the Hollow Earth. They know that conventional weapons won't destroy Godzilla, and Godzilla is more than capable of taking care of himself. So they're not too worried about the surface because they know that the surface, the governments are not going to want to cause any more damage considering what the Titans on the surface have done already. And considering that Godzilla's already been picking off surface level Titans, they want to get into the Hollow Earth and eradicate the rest. So Monarch is starting to hide assets, important information and documents. They're starting to store everything in the Hollow Earth, including all the heaves, all the primary technology that they've gotten from Apex. So there's a bit of a conflict going on. Not fighting, just a lot of politicking, a lot of legislation being signed to try and seize Monarch. And they've decided, all right, we're done with these Titans. Then we cut to a scene, and I kind of already gave this away because I did it in the video, but I kind of liked the idea of it. But I added something else. So then we cut to a beautiful, beautiful day on a nice beach. Everybody's chilling. People they're kind of used to the Titans already, so it doesn't take very long for people to settle down after a Titan. Plus, this beach was far from where this all happened, far from Rio. And people are chilling. Then you get a shot from the water angle, and you see like these little things sticking out of the water, and it's like a whole mess of them. And then you pull the shot back, so you're seeing the top down. You see the water, and you see the beach, like it's split in half. You can see from the top down, and you see just like a swarm of things swimming towards the coast, but you don't quite know what it is. And then suddenly all these little crustaceans, well, I shouldn't say little, all these crustaceans start making landfall, and there are tons of them. And what I wanted to do with Destroyer in this movie is actually link him to being an oxygen destroyer. So yes, they're violent. They can use their, they can stab and stuff like that. But I wanted to give them almost like an area of effect, Dementor kind of aspect where they are literally sucking the oxygen surrounding them. So like as people are trying to fight them off and get away, they're also starting to get like, they're starting to have trouble breathing. Like the oxygen, not only in their body, but the oxygen that they would receive all around them to help them breathe is starting to wither away. It's starting to go away. So you see people like, falling over from asphyxia and shit like that. And then it's being reported on the news. It's just mayhem. It's mayhem. And right as there's this big conference going on between Monarch, all that shit that's going on, this news breaks and they kind of stop their infighting and they start paying attention to what's going on. And at this point, I would bring back the actor who played Admiral Stentz, forget his name, but you guys, the guy who dropped the bomb. And he's going to look, because he's actually spearheading this campaign to take over Monarch. This is something he's been wanting to do since 2014. It's just that with each passing movie, he's become more and more determined to take over Monarch because he doesn't believe in their ability to control the Titans or at least predict their behavior. So then he gathers the team and all that stuff, military, not Monarch, military. And he says, all right, we need to go check this out, investigate, cut to a scene. These little destroyer monsters are gone, right? And then on the beach, all you see are, we'll never get this in the Monsterverse, but this is my dream. You just see like just bodies. Some of them are killed in the sense that, they were stabbed, stuff like that. But there are a lot of bodies that are like literally like almost kind of dried out. Like literally all the oxygen was sucked. And then as the army and as the personnel start to get into the area, they start having a hard time breathing. And they find out that in this general vicinity, that whole beach, the oxygen level has dipped and it's not regenerating. You know what I mean? Like the oxygen levels are not increasing. Like literally these destroyer, they don't know it's destroyer yet. You guys know what they are. Literally these destroyer crustaceans are sucking the air, like literally taking all the oxygen out of the area. This oxygen is what fuels them to grow. And every time they feed on oxygen, they go somewhere, they hide, and they all come together in cocoon. And they digest, for lack of a better term. There's probably a better way to describe what it is I'm trying to describe. But it's like a feeding for them. For them, it's a feeding. They use this oxygen to start growing, not only their current size, but this also gives them some, we'll call it pseudoscience for now because there's no scientific explanation for this. But this effect also allows them to merge together to form one singular organism, one singular creature. So every time they feed on oxygen, this is what happens. Once this happens, once they realize and they test the area and they realize this area is void of oxygen, Admiral Stentz recognizes the general area and he kind of looks off to the camera, but off to the ocean. And he goes, my God. Kind of realizing, wait a minute, is this a result? We pause there. Go back to Rome. Godzilla wakes up laying. This is my movie, so we're going to change things up a little bit. He opens his eyes and his dorsal plates light up like a fiery red. Yeah, we're going to get rid of that pink shit. I'm sorry. And he senses something. And we quickly cut to like news. Oh, Godzilla has woken up and his colors change and blah, 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 blah. People going crazy, people kind of concerned. He doesn't do anything crazy. He leaves Rome, goes into the water. Boom, that's all we see him. But now right there, all right, he knows something's going on here. to go over a couple of story elements during the movie, just to kind of give you guys a sense of where I'm going with the story-wise. So throughout the movie, in no particular order, because that would take more time, what we learn is that obviously Eileen and Jaya is still together. They're in the movie. Trapper gets a lot more involved on the operational side of Monarch as opposed to being a veterinarian because he's very skilled. And then we also learn that down on the Hollow Earth, the Iwi are starting to kind of get a sense of something that's going on. Jaya learns from the Iwi that while they called Godzilla to help them last time with the Scar King and Shimo, that whatever he did on the surface, eating the radiation and stuff like that, wasn't in preparation for Scar King and Shimo. That it was in preparation for this. And it would take me more time to go into detail of how I want to tell this part of the story. But in essence, because Godzilla nearly died from this weapon, because Godzilla was in the very ocean where the weapon landed, because of the fact that he, was in the hollow. Well, was he in the hollow? He was kind of like in the middle. He was in the Hollow Earth, I guess you could argue. The power that was generated from the oxygen destroyer and what that gives off, like he kind of recognized, like this is kind of Godzilla's power. He can recognize these things. So he knows something's wrong. And it's like he knew there was a matter of time before these things surface. Why? Well, they've been in the water this whole time, slowly growing, slowly mutating, and he's known they've always been there, but he could never really either pinpoint or figure out how to destroy them because they were always apart. It's when they finally came together that he was able to pinpoint the source, and this is why now he's ready. But he always knew they were coming. It's just that he couldn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I guess, pinpoint, which I said already. Couldn't pinpoint them. So Eileen was like, or Eileen and some of the other characters was like, well, we don't understand. He just had this big fight. We thought that this had to do with the Scar King and Jaya being the chosen one and kind of being the translator through the Iwi, and the Iwi being highly intelligent are beginning to figure out that this is not going to be like the whole Shimo and Scar King thing. This is something completely new. That it's not native to the Titans. It's not native to their what's the word I'm looking for? It's not native to their circle of life, for lack of a better term. So that's kind of like, again, this is just rough draft. This is not something. And given more time and more writing, I could make this make a lot more sense. But that's in essence the premise. This is a result of a weapon that was developed by the U.S. military. And because of the kind of cells that monsters have, remember Ghidorah was also in the water when this happened. So now you have a monster that could mutate from the oxygen destroyer, has remnants of maybe Godzilla DNA or Godzilla cells, Ghidorah DNA, Ghidorah cells. All these things just make this ultra crazy killer monster. And now they realize, all right, this monster literally can destroy the world because wherever it goes, if it decides to eat oxygen, the oxygen in that location never returns. That's it. Whatever's there, anything that requires oxygen, whether it's human life, animals, whatever, and then the oxygen in the air itself literally just is gone, consumes all of it. And that oxygen also empowers it. So literally, this monster decides to travel the world is done. Hence the title of the so. All right. So getting to more of the good stuff, because I know you guys want to hear the monster stuff. So basically, throughout the movie, Destroyer breaks down. He starts to attack cities en masse. I mean, this is like, you ever seen Starship Troopers when the arachnids are? That's what it looks like. This thing is running into cities, attacking people, eating oxygen, areas are beginning to die and be void of life. I mean, this is like hardcore stuff. Finally, Destroyer gets to a point. I didn't really think of a way for them to name him. But it wouldn't be Destroyer like in Japan. They would call him the Destroyer. You know what I mean? So the way this would happen would be, if you go through like the lore of the Titans, there's certain Titans that are peaceful, certain Titans that are this, and then certain Titans are destroyers. Well, this one is the Destroyer, like the apex of destroyers. Like they don't even know how Godzilla's going to beat this thing because you can't even hardly come near it. So it starts to go through like several cities, and Godzilla finally catches up to it while it is like leached onto a building and digesting again. We're just going to call it digesting for now because I can't think of a better word. And at this point, you see it for the second time since the beginning, and it's huge. It is huge. And Godzilla sees it, and he starts to rev up his atomic breath to make a blast. Destroyer senses this and breaks down immediately into one singular form. But because it did not finish its digestion, it's like a grotesque, semi-looking Destroyer. Like it's not done. So it's like all discombobulated in the face, and it's like, ah! And before Godzilla can even hit it, it completely breaks down, and all the little ones scatter and they get away. Like when I think about it in my head, it looks so cool, but I don't know if I'm describing it very well. So the first encounter, Godzilla almost gets him, but he gets away. So finally, Monarch and the military come together, and they start to discuss the strategy how to get rid of this thing. Now, a returning character I would want to bring back is, I don't remember her name, but in King of the Monsters was the black bald girl that was kind of the lead of the G team. And so we're going to have the G team back a little bit. And she's giving like Admiral Stentz a deep stare. And she looks at him, she says, it's come to my understanding during my debriefing that this monster is a result of that prototype that you launched 5 or at this point it'd be 6 years ago or 5 years ago. And he looks at him and said, at the time we felt threatened. We felt we had to do what we had to do. She said, right. And now you've created a destroyer titan that we don't even know if Godzilla can defeat. And he kind of looks down, and Eileen's like, look, we don't have time for this. We need to come up with a plan. So anyway, I just thought of something stupid. I was like, well, we can get the Titans a gas mask or oxygen, because now they have taken, but I'm not going to do that. It just like flew in my head real quick. But anyway, so they sit down, they try to figure out a way that they can stop this thing. And maybe, because their expectation is that because this thing pretty much gets rid of oxygen in the vicinity, there's no way Godzilla could defeat this thing. So they try coming up with a plan. They're having a hard time. Meanwhile, Godzilla's still in pursuit. And once again, this is like the third city that Destroyer has invaded. And you get this shot of Godzilla walking towards the city, and the city looks void. Like it's an insane level of like an eerie quietness. Like, yeah, there are some buildings that are destroyed, but that's not really what you notice. What you notice is that there's no noise, there's no people screaming, it's quiet. And as he gets into the center of the city, there he is, Destroyer, completely just finished digesting, is in full form. And he looks at Godzilla and he roars. And I would say he's about 50, 60 feet taller than Godzilla. Super girthy. He's got this long horn. Pretty much, I would want to see him enhanced with obviously modern day. But for now, the best vision we have of Destroyer is the Destroyer. So Godzilla roars, he roars, and then they kind of start clashing. And they get into a brawl. Godzilla goes back to do his atomic breath, and then right as he does that, Destroyer like does this thing with its mouth, and it kind of looks like a Dementor where it's breathing in. And as the Godzilla's going like this, he starts going like, and then right as he does that, Destroyer kind of steps back and then slashes him across the chest with his blade, and then he stabs him in the gut, and then he lifts Godzilla, and then he just slams him down, and just done. Godzilla's just there like, and then right as you think this is the end, if you guys want to play the Avenger music in your head, blah, blah, so you hear Mothra come in, you hear fucking Shimo, you see Shimo and Kong running, and right as they're coming in, like Mothra comes in and picks up Godzilla and kind of puts Godzilla on Shimo. Meanwhile, Kong does this devastating drop kick to Destroyer, and they basically get the fuck out of there. So, long story short, Jaya was able to communicate to Kong this new threat, through sign language, and that Godzilla's charging into battle, but they don't think he can because of what the monster's doing. So this is why they came up to rescue him. So boom, they all flee back to the Hollow Earth. They get back to the Hollow Earth, and Godzilla is like, he's in bad shape. Probably, you think Mechagodzilla was bad? Mechagodzilla put a beating on him, but this monster actually almost killed him. And so we go back to the Hollow Earth. Down there, obviously, is the crew. So Eileen's like, Trapper, is there anything you can do? He was like, I'm a vet. I've been a vet, but these are deep lacerations, the kind of surgery or whatever he needs. And then Eileen's like, well, I don't think he's going to need that. He needs a massive dose of radiation so his regeneration could kick in. So Shimo takes Godzilla's, like, kind of grabs Godzilla's foot, you know what I mean? And kind of signals something to Kong, Basically, Shimo's trying to communicate to Kong, I know where there's a high dose of radiation that we can just basically toss him to a pool of radiation, and it may kill him or it may bring him back, but it's the only resort because it's not like there's any kaiju surgeons, and Trapper really doesn't have the capability to do the kind of work that is needed for him to, patch him up. So, anyway, I'm going to take a quick time out here because I need a drink. Give me a second. I'm doing this off the cuff, guys, so I'm trying to get to my end game of this movie, but I need a few minutes to let the thoughts percolate. What do you guys think so far? Foot fetish people are going to remember that, Rob. I wasn't implying it that way, but that's true, Johnny. Yep, that's true. So far, so good. Shimo's a woman. I think it's fantastic so far. Exciting. What do you guys think of? I want your opinion. What do you think about the added effect of Destroyer actually destroying oxygen, so to speak? Do you think that's not necessary, or do you kind of like that effect? I just thought of it. I'm like, let's do something like really brutal. Like, I really wanted to give him a sense of death, like a walking death. Better than anything Monsterverse has had so far in terms of writing, in my personal opinion.
You are one awesome motherfucker.
I haven't had an opportunity to fit Tsuko in yet, to be honest with you.
Big Bad Wolf tipped $5. I like it. Very dark and having the same monster elements as GXK. I think when Godzilla goes into the city that is void, he could have the same look of shock that Optimus had in Dark of the Moon after seeing the destruction Sentinel caused.
I want to see Godzilla and Shimo use their beams together against Destroyer. Hope we would keep a similar design to Toho. It makes more sense than it should. This speaks death alone. Yeah, that's true. Legendary's gonna steal that idea. Yeah, we'll always wonder if I got lucky with a prediction or if that's something they actually heard and used 3 years later with the in regards to Ghidorah's weather effect. I'm sure it was just a lucky guess. I'm sure they had the same idea. It makes sense. You would want a monster that big to have some sort of effect on the planet. Warner Brother Legendary hire Rob now. Do you think Ford Brody could have returned? I mean, I'm sure I could work him in, but I'm like I said, I'm going off the cuff here. I think my answer for the Suko thing would be Gorilla. Kong would tell him to sit it out. Because remember, this is taking place almost immediately after Godzilla X Kong, and there's no way Suko would have a chance to survive a fight against Destroyer. Yeah. Yeah, I thought about that too, Lotaro. The only reason I haven't put that in is because I really want a more the humans, I know that the humans and how they're affected by the Titans has been overlooked for so long. I felt it would be a good opportunity to just show the human suffering. And technically it's at the hands of mankind. Because mankind is the one that created this monster. A primordial pool that the first life came from. I mean, we could do that, but then that would raise the question, what's the point of him being powered on radiation if the one time he's near death, something out of left field that hasn't even been discussed yet in the Monsterverse is going to save him? It just doesn't make narrative sense at this point. I mean, I know there's a lot of things in the series that don't make sense, but as far as I am, the way I like to think of stories is I like everything to kind of link up. So to have radiation be the single source that charges him, only to kind of ditch it last minute for something completely different that has never been mentioned. Yeah, just, it wouldn't make narrative sense to me. He's not a villain. There really are no human villains in this idea. I want the primary villain to be Destroyer and Destroyer only. Would you have him kill some of the other Titans while Godzilla and the others are on the Hollow Earth? I mean, I'm sure you could squeeze in a scene or two like that. I'm kind of just, like I said, I'm going off the cuff. And I'm also trying not to make this last like 5 hours. So there are a lot of finer details that I'm going to skip by. I'm kind of giving you a gist of how I envision a rough draft of how I would do it. Khan should strike Destroyer with his axe, and it literally melts, symbolic of what will happen to Big G. We could have him kill Behemoth and thus destroy the Amazon. We could do that. I mean, like I said, we could do a lot of things, but you don't want him to cause too much destruction. The whole point of this is for the good guys to win and humanity recover. You have him destroy the Amazon rainforest, pretty much the world is doomed even if you kill him. So let's avoid that. How many levels of the Hollow Earth do you think there are? It probably goes at least maybe, I don't know. I mean, they can have it go as deep as they want so long as they don't get to the core. Although in 2014, Dr. Graham did say that the monsters get as close to the core as they can to consume the radiation. So maybe it does go down as far as the core, and maybe the Titans are the only one that can withstand that kind of heat. Do I think this would work as a 2-part movie? Nah, I don't think so. I think it's pretty singular. They really got to show Godzilla take serious damage, like big cuts. Yeah, last time he took serious damage was in 2014. Are you gonna have a part of the Earth that just without oxygen, like the future? Yeah. Once the oxygen's gone, it's gone. There's no coming back from that. over a long period of time, it would probably return, but we're talking long, like couple of 100 years. Think of it as like almost like a radiation effect, like kind of like what they call that in Chernobyl, the elephant's toe or the elephant's shoe or something like that, or how long it took for Japan to heal up. Think of the effect like that. I think that'd be a good way to put it. Not to completely be void, but those would be areas that you can't rebuild in for like 50, 60, 70 years. Elephant's foot, right? Yeah. Destroyer is basically a black hole for oxygen. Yeah, well, you know, some of that Ghidorah DNA up in there. He is a space monster. Which city would you like to use for your ghost town scene? Well, the first city would be probably I was gonna say Mexico, but Mexico is kind of where he made landfall. I would probably do like California, like San Francisco or Los Angeles would start. That seems to be pretty close to where he would go next. But I would say pretty random. Could pick any city. He just goes. Like have Destroyer make Godzilla bleed and rip chunks of flesh off of him. Well, I did have him slash a big gap in his chest and then stab him in the abdomen, so I think that's pretty good. KDM hinted towards one of the spin-offs being Kong focused. I'm assuming the other will be Godzilla focused. Monarch will be natural for both. He also said King Kong Disney is still in development. Yeah, I don't care about Disney's King Kong. It's going to probably be shit. San Francisco was already destroyed in the first movie. Yeah, we can go back to the well. I'm thinking logically. If he was in may land in Mexico, he can continue northwest. I mean, I guess I could take him to Vegas, but then Vegas was destroyed too. So, I mean, Los Angeles then. We don't have to do San Francisco. We'll do Los Angeles. Could do San Diego, but that's kind of a smaller city compared to the other two. No, my aim here is to try and present something a little bit off the cuff compared to what we've gotten, and absolutely not give in to the kaiju stands that consistently want like fucking Anguirus and Virus and all that shit. Your lucky Mothra's still in the movie. My idea for the end battle. Hey, Lewis, what's going on, man? Bring in Gigan and Space Godzilla in one mobile. What's up, Rob? What's going on, Lewis? All right, so we'll just jump right to the final battle because I know that's how you guys want to know how this plays out. So the idea here is to actually lure Destroyer away from major cities, and the plan is to.
You are one awesome motherfucker.
I'm gonna let this go first real quick. I had a version of this with Biolante, but I did that one like 3 years ago.
I got my idea for my Godzilla movie. I'll have Godzilla be a bad SSMF. I'll have there's like 10 monsters and Godzilla John Wick on them. Like Final War. He fought a big bad monster and lose fight 1. Fight 2 he win.
Alright. Not bad. John Wick them. Godzilla doing gun fu. Thanks for the 20, Bobby. Alright. So they come up with a plan to disperse a large amount of oxygen literally in the center of the United States, the Midwest, where there's a lot of open fields and open plains. The downfall of this is a lot of farmland and crops will die, but a lot of people will survive because these are not highly populated areas. The other reason they want to do this is because a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of the United States nuclear silos are there. And their plan is, in a desperate effort, if Godzilla begins to succumb to lack of oxygen or succumb to Destroyer, they are willing at this point to sacrifice the center of the United States by launching nukes directly at Godzilla to keep him going. Like, that's their plan. It's basically a last resort plan, but it's either this sacrifice or the world dies. So they do this, it works. Destroyer heads to the Midwest, let's say, I don't know my geography so well. I want to try and make it in the center of the United States. I think, is it Iowa maybe? Here we go. Let's say Kansas, dead center of the United States. This open field area in Kansas, and they have several nukes already locked onto Godzilla should they need to launch them at him. And all Godzilla, Shimo, Kong, Mothra, boom. They all surface and they meet Destroyer head on. So Shimo takes a very ranged approach to avoid being suffocated and starts beaming at Destroyer, which seems to have very little effect other than to slightly pause him for a minute or slow him down. Godzilla goes in tanking. He's supercharged. They found a pool of radiation in the depths of the hollow earth where they literally dumped him. So he's out supercharged now. His eyes, his whole body's just like a burning red color, just on some another shit. Like an orange reddish hue and constant flickering. Like he's jacked. And he goes in and he starts fighting, and Kong runs in to get a shot in, but Destroyer tail whips him across the way, and Suko is off in a distance watching and is all scared. Yeah, Suko's not going to get involved in this one. It's too much for him. Finally, after a rough battle back and forth, Destroyer starts to get weakened. There's a lot of injuries there. Kong is all slashed up and bleeding. Godzilla is he's slashed up and he's beat up, but he's almost impervious to the pain because he's still going full 100%. Finally, Shimo sees that her beam isn't having no effect, so she charges in to help Godzilla since she's a big tank. And she starts biting Destroyer on the neck and pins Destroyer down to the ground. And she, holding Destroyer on the neck, pinning him down. Meanwhile, Godzilla steps on Destroyer and then gives this big roar looking at Kong, and Kong roars and runs in with his axe and then chops off the horn. And then at that point, the process that Destroyer would use to suck out oxygen is gone. Suddenly, the oxygen levels are starting to stabilize, and they realize that the horn was the focus. That's one alternative. I have a gloomy one, so I'll do that one real quick next. Finally, the music gets all good. Everybody's getting revved up. Shimo and Godzilla kind of combine. They cross streams, let's put it that way. And they both hit Destroyer, and it kind of makes this icy hot cocoon where Destroyer is kind of trapped. And it doesn't look like when Scar King got trapped. It's just a cocoon of icy hot. And you just see the smoke coming out of it. And then Kong comes up and lifts up his axe. And as he lifts up his axe, Godzilla and Shimo blast the axe, and it turns this hueish color. And then Kong just runs forward and then shatters it. And then as it shatters, you see all the little destroyers come apart, and they're all weak. And in a last-ditched effort, they all dart towards Godzilla, and they start climbing in him, surrounding him. And everybody looks worried. And then next thing you know, you see little beams start popping out, little by little. And then you hear a big roar, and he does the nuclear pulse. And just splatters all the Destroyer monsters. Yeah, he crosses the street, yeah. And they're just gone. He destroys them. And everybody's, Eileen Jaya, Kong is breathing heavy, looks at Godzilla, gives him, you know what I mean? And then, as everybody goes their separate ways again, Godzilla just stands there, looking exhausted. Thankfully, they didn't have to set off the nukes. he lays in the middle of the field, and as he starts going to sleep, you start seeing his chest, and it starts to pulsate like a reddish color, and then the movie ends. That's ending one for the movie. Is Disney really going to be making their own King Kong? They're going to be making a King Kong show, but it's not based on the Monsterverse. This is based on Universal, like that kind of one, that kind of Kong. Rob, you see Intel and Google are teaming up to fight off NVIDIA. Wi-Fi's videos till this day is so right about AI. Oh yeah. Foreshadowing of Godzilla's death, yeah. Would it be better if Godzilla did the kiss of death rather than Kong giving the blow? Godzilla still gets the final kill. All Kong did was break Destroyer down. In other words, when you did that icy hot effect that Shimo and Godzilla did, it basically stopped his, what's the word I'm looking for? The muscle. There's a certain word for it, and I can't remember what it is. But essentially, all the little muscle or fibers that Destroyer would use to keep himself put together, basically it put those to a stop. And all Kong's axe did was shatter it and break him down. It didn't kill him. That's why they rushed Godzilla after the fact to try and one last ditch effort to kill him. And Godzilla got the final blow.
You are one awesome motherfucker.
Yeah.
Aknogoji 2001 tipped $5. You can say Destroyer got destroy.
Yeah, basically. Now, in the other ending, I was thinking about something a little bit more gloomier, in which Godzilla does have to end up being continuously charged with nuclear missiles. So it's a victory with a lot of sacrifice. So essentially, what happens in this one is instead of pretty much Kong, Shimo are taken out of the fight. And oh shit, I totally forgot about Mothra and all this. But anyway, so Godzilla just decides to just go in and fight toe to toe. And every time it looks like he's losing oxygen levels or he's losing power, they would launch a nuke at him. And every time he got hit with a nuke, it would help, but obviously it would be devastating for the surrounding areas, you know, because of it's a nuclear bomb. And that would give him enough to defeat Destroyer. But at the end of the movie, you know, the whole center of the United States is pretty much radioactive, and it doesn't, you know, that's going to be damaged for a long time. Godzilla, once again, I give the little highlight of all that overflow of nuclear power they were bombing him with, puts him in overcharge, and now starts the process of the meltdown, which I would say for another movie. So how do you feel about Kong beating Godzilla's butt in Godzilla X Kong New Empire? How do I feel about it? I feel fine. Like, I'm sorry, were you expecting a different response? Like, that was bullshit. No, don't bother me. Ask anyone here. I predicted that to happen like 2 years ago. Ask anyone here that's been following my streams for the last couple of years. After Godzilla vs. Kong, and once the sequel was announced, I pretty much said that was going to happen. I mean, it's very predictable. Even with all that, Godzilla still almost killed his ass. Space Godzilla shows up at the end? Nah. So that's it. That's my, that's pretty much my idea for a sequel. If I could do it, and if I had time to write it out. I mean, obviously, again, some of the finer details are missing, but essentially that's the premise that I would go with if I were to bring in Destroyer. I would want him to be a massive level threat. Yeah, well, let's see if they learn any lessons from all the money they've lost. Would I ever do a pitch with Space Godzilla at some point? I'm thinking about doing it to indulge those who love Space Godzilla. I did do a minor pitch last week, but Space Godzilla died like right in the beginning of the movie. But yeah, I thought about it. My version of Destroyer is Gorlock the Destroyer. I don't know who Gorlock is. How many more movies do you think Godzilla will be in before he dies? Or essentially before he's removed from the Monsterverse? I don't think that much more. Again, it all depends how the movies do. So obviously this one did well enough that I think they'll pull a sequel. If the next one does well again, they'll do another one. They're going to keep doing them until they're not making money anymore. So right now, I'm going to say one more. It doesn't necessarily mean Godzilla would die. I would prefer that. I would prefer a heroic death send-off. And the reason I don't mind that is because Godzilla's never really dead. But I think that would be a good send-off. That's why I don't understand why people, you can't kill him. No, I'm sure you can. He's been killed plenty of times and he always comes back. So what's the big deal? I had a version of this with Biollante in it, but Destroyer wasn't nearly as powerful. He was still powerful, but he wasn't like sucking oxygen out of existence around him. Eventually, the Monsterverse is going to suffer from franchise fatigue. I think the Monsterverse will be long gone before that happens. Like, the reason Marvel is failing now is not because of fatigue. It's because of bad writing and bad movies and an overabundance of IP. I mean, 2 to 4 movies a year and then all these Disney Plus shows is too much. The Monsterverse is 5 movies in 10 years? I mean, you're not anywhere near fatigue. If you were near fatigue, the movie wouldn't have done as well as it's done. Now, you can get fatigue if you do 10, 15 movies, but we're nowhere near that. And I can tell you right now, if the Monsterverse gets 7 movies, I'll be shocked. It doesn't have the kind of legs that Marvel had, or that, DC could have had if they did things right. You just don't have that kind of leg room with kaiju. And look at the numbers. I mean, yeah, they're making a profit for what they're doing, but these movies ain't never going to be $1 billion franchise. So no, I don't think you won't even get a chance to get to fatigue before this is over. Now they're desperate to bring back Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, I heard about that. Well, they don't have a choice. I mean, at this point, would you rather fight Shimo, Godzilla, or fight Rodan? Wait, what? Skull Island and Monarch were good shows. I didn't see Skull Island. Monarch is continuing with the second season, multiple spin-offs in the work. Can't see the Monsterverse going away. I think it'll go away in theaters at some point. You might continue to get shows or comics, but everything has an end. I don't see the Monsterverse, is particularly in movies, going too far. But this is also why I don't think you're ever going to get any solo movies. Because it's proven now that Godzilla and Kong on screen together is just a moneymaker. They're not going to abandon that. Rob, do that Space Godzilla pitch to shut up to Space Godzilla fans. Yeah, I'll probably do one. I got to work on it. Do you think the Monsterverse ends once King Kong turns 100 in 2032? I think the Monsterverse will end before that. If they do a sequel, you're going to have the next movie by late 2026, early 2027. And if you get another movie after that, you'll get it by 2030. But I would think that'd be the last one. So no, I don't think we make it to 2032. No, you don't have to make it rated R, Jason. This one right here that I just described wouldn't be rated R. There's no blood. Would I bring back a classic Godzilla theme for the final fight? No. No, I think 2019 we got the Godzilla music and that was good. We don't need to keep repeating the same shit. You know what I mean? Like, I love that music, don't get me wrong. But I've got 30 plus movies with that music in it. You know what I mean? Something, and then I got another movie in the Monsterverse with all those songs remixed. At this point, you know, there's nothing wrong with fresh stuff. Do you think we'll ever get another Godzilla vs. Kong movie? You just got one. They did fight in this movie. So. What's going on, Joey? I think the two spin-off shows will be where the solo outings for Kong and Godzilla will come in with movies being team-ups with some two main kaiju. I got to be honest with you. I think we need to take a lesson from Monarch, the show. Don't expect these shows to be heavily kaiju related. Like, don't expect to be seeing monsters every episode fighting. It's not going to work that way. These shows are going to be story-driven. And you're going to have the monsters highlight certain episodes. There'll be episodes where you won't see monsters at all. And if you do see them, it'll be very short clips. So I wouldn't expect any crazy monster action in these shows. That's a lot of money. I mean, think about the amount of money it costs to do a full fight scene with monsters. Yeah, I would probably use Legacy of Monsters to get a good grasp of what to expect. Because I can say right now, when we were talking about the show 1 to 2 years before it ever released, we right away, myself, other content creators in the space, and some people here right here in chat, we knew right away this wasn't going to be a monster heavy show, and it wasn't. Your big payoff was the ending fight with the Ion Monster and Godzilla, and that lasted, what, 25 seconds? So this is why I don't think you'll get Toho monsters in the shows, because why would you pay a large amount of money if you only intend, first of all, it's going to make your budget more expensive, and then on top of that, depending on whether or not you get to show it per episode or whatever, it's still going to cost money to make it. To actually generate it on the screen. So you got to remember, these guys want to spend as little money as possible. As little money as possible. Especially on the TV shows. So, you know, I would temper expectations for a big monster show. Now, Toho, on the other hand, if they do a show, I can see the opposite because it's their property. They're not going to be using
you are one awesome motherfucker.
The kind of special effects. And knowing them, they'll probably do the same thing. Look at Singular Point.
Bobby Reynolds super chatted $20 for my Godzilla movie. I have Godzilla and his son on his island. I'll have a couple of the monsters come to the island and beat up Godzilla and killed his son. I'll use the Heisei little Godzilla to give that feels.
There you go. Thanks for the 20, Bobby. I think you're going to get one spinoff. It's going to be Kong. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty obvious. Those are their two driving forces in the Monsterverse. So the idea of doing, to come out randomly and do a spinoff of like Rodan, it doesn't make sense. Who's going to watch that? You'll watch it, I know. I'll watch it. But when they make these decisions and they make these movies and these shows, they do them with the general audience in mind. And while the general audience is having a blast with the high tempo, high pulse action in the movies, people that watch television shows generally want a good story. Yeah, it says multiple spin-offs. Someone already said that one of the other ones starts with a C. You know, for all you know, the other spin-off could be completely not even monster related. Like, it could be something that has to do with, I don't know, something where it's not necessarily about a monster. It could be about the regular Titans, all the legendary Titans. Maybe it's a spin-off show of how they found them all. And yeah, you'll get a little bit of monster action, but not much because a lot of them were sleeping before 2019. So it also depends on the time period that they decide to do it in. If they decide to make it current day, well, you're already missing a couple of monsters that are dead. I'd like to see a well-done flashback movie set in time period of those cave paintings. Yeah, a lot of people would. That would be cool, but again, you fall into the same trap. You're going to be doing more monster action than anything because, according to the lore, the Iwi don't talk.
John Joseph Gray 4 sponsored the channel.
Are you okay with Adam Wingard coming back to do Godzilla X Kong sequel, or would you prefer a brand new director to make your Godzilla? Well, if it was my Godzilla versus Destroyer pitch, I don't care who would direct it. I mean, if they came up to me and said that, I'd be like, yeah, just do whatever the fuck you want. Just give me the money. No, I want to be involved, obviously. No, but I think Adam Wingard coming back is probably a good thing at this point. I mean, he's kind of brought the Monsterverse to a whole nother level now. Whether you hate him or not, I think that deserves another crack. I mean, this is his trilogy, essentially, so. Yeah, let Adam Wingard finish his story. Next movie, he's gonna come out to the red carpet. Dun dun. Kaiju has more than one royal director. Come out the limo. Everybody's cheering. Another movie in my soul. Now, Wingard's done good. And then at the chorus, Screonk, and everybody goes Screonk. And Legendary said, when I was younger, my movies were just shit. But I gave them money, blew them all away, made a kaiju kingdom. Now fuckers are paid and giving me the jobs. Oh my God. Yeah, script just took me a day to pay me. Well, nah, if I had to write a full-fledged script, it would be obviously a lot cleaner than what I described. But I like doing it all off the cuff because it's more fun. I like to see how people react to what I come up with on the spot, you know? If Godzilla X Kong doesn't make over what? I have to wait for this to scroll up. Over 500 million, we're not getting a sequel. No, that's not true. They're already in profit, dude. The movie only cost 135 million. Right now, they're at. Let me see. I mean, we're going to the third weekend now.
You are one awesome motherfucker.
Worldwide. I mean, 369 million worldwide, and then 142
Bobby
domestic.
Reynolds super chatted $10. Little Godzilla will give the feels of oh no. That guy's cute and now he's dead. Go and get him, Godzilla. If I use Minya or Manila, you guys would stand up and go ya ugh.
Thanks for the 10, Bobby. I didn't even shout out John Joseph Gray, 37 months a member. God bless you. Thank you for that. It needs at least double the budget and profit for a sequel. Dude. All right, so 135, double the budget is 270. Their marketing was very small. Most of the marketing was online. How much you think that cost to hit the upload button? You know what I mean? They're already in profit. And it's forecasted that they're going to do between 550 and 600. So, yeah, I think we're good. I have it right in front of me right now. It says 369 international. It'll probably hit 400 by the end of the weekend. What are your thoughts about Adam Wingard potentially adding Baby Godzilla, or did you see the interview where he said that? Yeah, I spoke about this a couple of times. I'm not anything Adam Wingard's saying right now is not going to hold any weight for me because he has said so many different things from a week before the movie released up to this point. He's literally been all over the place. So he said that, all right? He talked about Destroyer. He talked about Hedorah. He talked about Godzilla-centric, darker tone movie, which got everybody a fucking erection the size of a marble pillar. He's talked about so many different things that I think right now the best thing to do is just not take him at his word. And it's not because I think he's a bullshitter. I think he legitimately would be interested in doing one of those things. But he's all over the place, number one. Number two, there's been no sequel greenlit yet. And number three, ultimately, the studio has the final say in what kind of movie or what direction they want things to go. And considering how much money the last two movies have made, I very much doubt they're going to want them to shift tones. So I would say it's fun to read that he likes all this stuff. It's fun to read that he has all these ideas. That's good. But yeah, I'm not taking any of it seriously. I think right now he's probably got. Honestly, you want to know what I think? I'm going to be real here. I don't think he expected this movie to do this well. And now that it's done, because you're a director in a movie, it doesn't matter what the fuck the critics say. You bring in money to the studio, you got yourself another job.
You are one awesome motherfucker.
Do I follow Dangerville at all? Sure. Yeah, I've followed Dangerville for quite some time. You didn't know that? I mean, Dangerville's even been on my stream chat before. We've had exchanges quite a number of times. Good ones. I'm not trying to say that we're bad ones. He simply stated he was moved by the emotional highs in Godzilla Destroyer. Yeah, but my point is that every interview it's been something different. You know what I mean? Which would tells me that his head's all over the place. In other words, I don't think he even knows what he wants to do at this point. I don't think he expected to have an opportunity to think about where to go next. In my movie, Doug flies in from the sky, one-shots Destroyer, and then dances and spins around the whole globe while destroying every single city in his path, and then starts screaming for no reason. Sounds like an Oscar winner. Rob, have you seen Godzilla Save the Earth Melee game, the remake? No. I don't know, Rob. I heard that on Godzilla X Kong, he had way more control over the film. I think the next one, they're going to just let him cook. Well, having control over the film is one thing. But in terms of what the studio wants, in other words, if you're my director, all right, and we're talking about ideas for a movie, and you say, hey, you know, I'd like to do this. I'm like, well, I'm paying you, and I want you to go in this direction. However, if you go in this direction, you have full control. But I wanted to go in this direction. You understand what I'm getting at? He had full control. That doesn't mean, listen, Godzilla vs. Kong was decided well before he came on board. You know that, right? So who decided that direction? The studio. They just hired him to direct their direction, where they wanted to go. And he did a great job. And they saw how much money Godzilla vs. Kong made. So they wanted to double down on Godzilla and Kong. And they said, Adam, you did a pretty good job last time. Let's run it back. But this is the direction we want to go in. And Adam said, sure. And he was like, okay, have at it. That's how this works. Yeah, sure, they're not going to interfere with him so long as he's going in their direction. But if the next movie, if they say, all right, we're going to triple down on Godzilla and Kong together, and obviously we want you to do what you do best. But then he comes in and he starts making a Godzilla, let's say he does the darker tone, Godzilla-centric, more serious. You think they're just going to be like, okay. No, they're going to stop production and say, listen, motherfucker, we told you we wanted to go in this direction. Why are we seeing Gareth Edwards 2.0? What's going on, you? Hey, Curry 14, I'm doing good. The Monsterverse purpose was to bring Godzilla and Kong together. Now there is no clear end goal. And there never will be. They make these movies as they go. These movies were never, ever planned in advance. The only movie that was planned in advance was King of the Monsters. That was it. That's the only movie they ever had planned in advance. That and maybe Skull Island. But outside of that, every movie they do now and any movie that comes after that is a result of the prior movie's performance. There's no building universe like... That's why if you notice, if you watch these movies, they're very loosely linked together. Like, yes, it's the same world. It's the same Godzilla, essentially. But the stories, a lot of times, they don't mesh very well. And the tone is completely different. I mean, we went from dark and gritty to dark and snowy, and now we're fucking neon lighted up. You know, it's like Cyberpunk Godzilla now. I mean, the tonal shift is insane. If we're ever getting a darker tone Monsterverse movie again, I don't know. I don't see a way back from what they're doing. Why do you think it's having the success it's having? It's because it's crazy apeshit action packed. If you try to go serious with Godzilla now, it's probably gonna backfire. I get the desire, I understand that, but let's make a choice here. Do you want continued Godzilla exposure in terms of literature, figures, toys, shows, and movies? Or do you want to take one stab at a dark and gritty Godzilla movie that's going to flop and pretty much end the kaiju run? Choose. In fact, you know what? That's a good question for everybody. Let's do a poll. All right, well, let's do a poll. It only has so many characters, so it's gonna say end. It's gonna say everything instead of everything, but I can't. I ran out of characters. All right. All right. I can remember when King of the Monsters was supposed to come out in 2018. I can remember when Gareth Edwards was supposed to direct King of the Monsters. But what do you think of a Frankenstein and Wolfman versus Godzilla and Kong? I think very little of that. I have no desire to watch anything like that. I wouldn't even pay to go see that, and even if it has Godzilla in it. I have limits when it comes to cheesy goofiness. Bringing in a giant ass Frankenstein would, I mean, no, please don't. The equation for success of Godzilla is Toho equals darker grounded Godzilla legendary. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What do you think of Godzilla being more centered around him for the next film? I mean, you can do a centered Godzilla movie and still make it like God. I mean, the pitch I just gave you was centered around Godzilla primarily. Kong only showed up to A, to save him, and B, to fight with him. That was it. Just remake War of the Gargantuas at that point, yeah. Pacific Rim crosses with Monsterverse when? Never. Probably never. Yeah, I don't even know why that question comes up now. Pacific Rim's been out of the picture for what, like 6 years? I mean, we were talking about Pacific Rim Monsterverse crossover before 2019. And after the shit show that was Pacific Rim 2, it was pretty much over. However, if it makes you feel somewhat better, they were talking about going that direction at one point. It was all dependent on how Pacific Rim 2 did, and well, now you know why they didn't go that route. The second Pacific Rim flopped so hard, so bad it killed the IP. Well, it killed the movie. The IP was alive and well. The animated show was fantastic. Mike, you speak too much dumb shit. I saw what you were saying earlier in chat when I was working out my kinks with the fucking software. You were literally trying to talk about the second week of the Monsterverse about Godzilla X Kong like it was a failure. And your source for that was a Thursday night. Nobody gives a shit about Thursday night numbers after the opening week. All I ask is that you be honest. Just say, look, I hate the Monsterverse. I want it to end. I want to try and make a narrative that is counter to what is reality. Reality is it had a pretty good second weekend. All movies drop after the first week. And I believe we thought, what did it drop? What was the percentage? It was like a little above 60, right? I don't remember what the exact number was. The drop-offs have been close to 60. That's not bad, Mike. Why do you think that's bad? Everybody expected it to be a little above 60. Even your boy Campia did. Don't bullshit. And even he said that's not bad. So, knowing how much you like to suck Campia's dick, if he said that, I'm surprised you're not taking him at his word. Look, why don't you just say, look, I hate the Monsterverse, and I want to do nothing but talk negative about it. I'd just rather you come out and say that than try and spin some bullshit that nobody here is going to believe. And that the evidence is completely counter to your point. See, I have decided going forward, I watch Campia now. So that way I can counter the bullshit that you bring in here. Because I know that you love him. And I know that you pretty much ride on his every word. Apparently, you were not happy with Campia had to say about Godzilla X Kong. So even you're trying to spin it. Mike, you're the only one spinning that bullshit. Literally in the world. Like, literally in the world. They want their cake and eat it too. Yeah. Nah, putting him in a live stream timeout is doing him a favor. Mike is at his best when he's embarrassing himself. I don't even see Civil War bumping it down far, if at all. Anyone see Civil War yet? I'm hearing a lot of mixed shit about that. Mike is a biased Dune fan. Well, yeah, that's obvious. I mean, he talked about the first Dune like it was the best shit since sliced bread, and it was mediocre. Dudes in chat asking me to be blocked, need to chill, free speech, and I'm not making any threats or anything. Oh, God, don't come with that shit. I've blocked plenty of people before, had nothing to do with free speech. So don't come with that shit. That just for saying that, I should now fucking put you on timeout. Like you're a victim. You're the one coming in How are you gonna come in and spit shit? People respond to you spitting shit, and then you're gonna be, oh, it's free speech. I'm the victim. Get the fuck out of here. If you're gonna open your mouth, you gotta expect
Big Bad Wolf
to get something back.
$5. Mike, we'd listen to your autistic messages more. I have autism, by the way. If you were actually a paying member to this channel instead of sucking on Compea's astral projected penis, because his is possibly non-existent.
Wow. Well, that was brutal. That was brutal. Basically, Mike, you know what he said basically to you?
Go fuck yourself.
That's what he said. What do you think about Del Toro directing the next Monsterverse film? Nah, I'll pass. I'll pass. And I like Del Toro, but no. Let Adam Wingard finish it. You bring in Del Toro, he's going to try and make it some artistic, like, crazy shit. He'll talk about bringing in the sea monster, and it'll just be a kaiju version of that fucking fish man from that. What was that movie where the fish fucked the chick? What was that? What's the name of that movie? The Sound of Water or some shit like that? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that was. Shape of Water. There it is. Thank you. Yeah. He'll just bring in a kaiju version of that and call it the sea monster. Yeah, let Wingard finish his story. Rob, your room looks better with just normal lights than colorful lights. I'm happy you're rocking that now. What's so normal about the lights? It's blue and yellow. They're still colored, just that they're not all one color. So usually if it's mixed color, it looks, if you get all one color, it looks different. It's all working together, so it makes it kind of darker in the background, but I always have the light on in front of me, so I already evolved. I've evolved now to yellow and blue. Ebra fucks a chick and Godzilla kills him. Artistic and impactful Oscar winner. Oh no, it's not historical. It's a modern day Civil War movie. So it's basic. Honestly, you know what I heard it is? It's basically like propaganda for what's going to happen this year's election. Don't get me started. People are so stupid these days. I've never thought politics can just be like a cancer. Who made the Godzilla -1 behind me? Well, that's not -1. That's Godzilla the Ride, which is pretty much -1. That's where they got the design from, but that's X.
You
that's
are one awesome motherfucker.
X plus. Forgot the name.
Bobby Reynolds super chatted $5. Thoughts? One, James Cameron release his movies in 4K, taking the grand like True Lies look off and aliens look like that just got out of the sauna.
Thoughts on James Cameron releasing his movies in 4K, taking the grain like True Lies look off and aliens look like it just got out of the sauna. Hey, I'm all about getting rid of the grain. I know a lot of people like that kind of stuff, but I think grains are pretty much dedicated to analog horrors now on the internet. I had an idea for an analog horror once. I was inspired by watching my kids watch analog horrors, and I was like, I should do one day, but obviously I haven't. Am I the only one that doesn't take sides from either the hard left or the hard right? No, there's plenty of people like that. You're the only one. What do you think is special? Motherfucker, like 70% of this country is moderate. Why do you think these candidates are always going? The person who wins are the person who win over the moderates. The people on the right or the people on the left, those are already votes counted. Everybody knows who those people are voting for. It's the moderates that make the decision on where the country goes. You should make one of those go viral. Well, I can't make it go viral. All I can do is tell the story, and if people like it, then even if people like it, there's no guarantee it'll go viral. My idea for analog horror was it was going to be I don't want to necessarily give it away in case I actually do it, because I was heavily considering it for a while. Well, I shouldn't say was. I kind of still am, but it's a little time consuming, the idea. My problem is I have a creative mind, and when I want to do something that's creative and I want to do it on YouTube, I go bigger than I'm able to do. You know what I mean? Like, instead of focusing on something that I'm capable of doing, being just the only person that does my channel, I don't have an editor, I don't have other people. I can't help myself. I always think bigger, and then I overwhelm myself, and then I end up quitting. So I think the only way I would do it is if I could find a way where it's feasible to do. Right now, it's not feasible because what I'm thinking about requires quite a bit that I would probably need help on. Do you think King Kong should have a female lover who is a giant female Sasquatch named Queen Kong in the Monsterverse? That's a serious question. How about this? Do you think Kong should have a female lover who's a giant female Sasquatch named Queen Kong in the Monsterverse? I want to see what you think. I think people here know me well enough to know how I'm going to answer that question. So I put the question back on you. Jonathan's about to have a heart attack. Who wins, Doug or Zilla Jr.? I don't care, whoever you want. Yes, plus there has been a Queen Kong movie in the 80s that's a parody of the 1933 film. Okay, so you said yes. Okay. All right. All right. Well, as long as you know you're not going to get that. But did they not see the horrible Linda Hamilton King Kong movie? Rob, favorite 21 plus beverage recommendation? Depends. Are you looking for taste or are you looking to get fucked up? He just wants to see Kong titties. I'm already burnt out with these guys wanting to throw this Toho monster in this movie or spin-off LOL. I can't use Seinfeld anymore. It gets copyright claimed. I took it off the board. Every time I find something I like to use, like 6 months later, it gets copyright claimed. Sup, Zachary? Oh my God. So what do we think the Toho show is going to be about? If it is indeed a show. And from what they're saying, it's supposed to be live action. Man, I tell you one thing, Legendary is rubbing off on Toho quite a bit. I mean, let me make sure not to say that to any Toho purists, but I mean, let's be real. What the fuck is up with D-Man? What? He is posting like a motherfucker today. Every time I look at X, D-Man. Let me see something. He's done 2 videos in 9 days. No. Yeah, 9 days.
You are one awesome motherfucker.
I mean, I'm gonna post at him. Hey, motherfucker! Stop wasting time posting tweets and
Bobby
fucking put
Reynolds
a video up.
Super chatted $5, and also he did it with AI. I'm not getting those 4K. I'll stick with the old version with the gran. Screw the AI versions.
Hey man,
grows on you, doesn't he?
hey, it'll be 2 versions for those who you obviously like the grain. You got the grain.
Nonchalant Lenny Gaming subscribed to the channel.
Nonchalant Lenny Gaming. Oh, that's my cousin. All right, polls over. Obviously, okay, good. I'm glad we have some people here that think logically. Apparently, he had to go in ER again a few days ago. Did he really? Jesus, Childish. What the? Do you literally like? Oh, hold on a minute. I gotta get something clear here. Every stream, if I talk about something I'm not 100% sure about, it doesn't matter if it's a Monsterverse thing, whether it's Movies, shows, figures, or even other content creators? You seem to have the answer. That's a little concerning. What the fuck do you do all day? He's a Fed. I would like the Toho show maybe to be set in either -1, where we can see the aftermath of the film, or maybe a set in the Heisei era following Godzilla's death and the Godzilla Jr. rebirth. Honestly, I'm anticipating Godzilla -1 sequel more than a Monsterverse sequel. I don't know why people want a Godzilla -1 sequel. You don't need one. That's just going to ruin it. Sometimes movies are best left as one-offs. I don't think you need a sequel to -1. I really don't. Like, what is the sequel going to be about? When you consider the story of -1, why would you make a sequel? These characters are dead. They're going to be dead. Someone pitch me a good -1 sequel, because I honestly can't think of one. I think the movie's fine the way it is. I'm not saying you can't make another Godzilla movie, but why make a sequel? Just do another Godzilla movie. That I agree. See, I agree with Cheeto. I think if you do a -1 sequel, it's gonna ruin it. Oh, thanks. Is that Jummy? Thanks, Jummy Ran. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's not even done yet. It's not even near done. I still have some disc plates I haven't put up yet. We Need Movies, not a fucking TV show. I think Toho are trying multiple. They know people want movies. They're trying other things. I like the fact that they're. If this turns out to be a true story, because I'm not 100% sure it's true, but I only say that because I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it. But it's supposed to be discussed further during the Godzilla Fest in Osaka at the end of the month. So we'll see. I like the fact that Toho's trying a lot of different things. I know a lot of them haven't done well, like the animations, but I like the fact that they're trying. Yeah, I agree. I think a sequel to -1 would ruin it. I would like a Shin Godzilla sequel. Nah, it's too late for that. They can't do a Shin Godzilla sequel now. How many of those Shin Godzilla stands turned on Shin Gojira when -1 came out? It was so aggravating to watch. I'm like, these guys were swearing up and down that Shin Godzilla was the best movie of all time. Boy, did their mind change real quick. -1 came out and suddenly Shin Godzilla was a garbage movie. Can't make this shit up. Granted, I could tell he was heavily inspired by GMK to start with. Plus, I look at spoilers, so him regenerating and then not following it up wouldn't shock me. There's a Shin Godzilla video every week. I say every week, yeah. Anybody catch any? I saw one. I didn't actually watch it. I just saw that there was one video. But did anyone catch any videos after the first weekend of Godzilla X Kong? Anybody release why -1 is better type shit videos? I saw one. I didn't watch it, but I saw it. I was tempted to see what the fuck he was gonna say, but I was like, nah, let me not even give him the view. I'm like, I already know what he's gonna say. Yeah, -1 is a great movie. I think his design will change very slightly. They've pretty much changed his look slightly every movie. They had concept art for their Gigan for the Monsterverse. Wonder how much they paid for that. The Critical Drinker stream with his pedantic ass friends. I never watch Critical Drinker streams, but I do watch his content. I love his videos. Am I going to see Civil War? Nah. It's one of those movies that it's. I mean, if I do see it, it'll probably see it on stream. But from what I've heard, well, put it this way: it's getting a lot of good critical reception, which means it sucks. Now that someone brought up Critical Drinker, thoughts on Damsel? I have no thoughts because I haven't watched it. I don't watch a whole lot of movies these days. Mostly everything out there sucks. Like, I'm not willing to spend my money on movies. I'm not even willing to give up my precious time to watch a movie unless I think it's going to be good. And a lot of the more recent movies are trash. Even the good movies I won't go to the theaters to watch. It's not worth the expense. If I'm going to pay $20 for tickets and a popcorn, I want to be fucking entertained to fuck. It's not that I don't like dramatic or narrative movies or storytelling, but to me, that's not worth the expense. I'll just wait for it. I do feel like at some point they need to start differentiating the price of tickets for the genre of the movie. Like, if you get a high octane action CGI fest, you should pay premium for that. But if you're going to get like The Color Purple, $5. You know, to me, the way things are now, that to me makes more sense. But to pay $20 to go see a movie like The Color Purple, and then you pay the same price to see a movie like Godzilla X Kong, which one is it going to be? Which one to me, it's worth it more to spend the $20 on Godzilla X Kong. Yeah, I saw that video. He's not wrong. The original Color Purple was good. I don't know about the new one. Watching a movie on a big screen, IMAX, is fun and only limited time till it's off forever. I've watched a movie on IMAX. I got to be honest. I didn't like it. You know what I mean? For a movie theater, I'm good with standard. And honestly, I mean, my TV's like 100 inches. You know, I got on a new TV after we moved into the house. Dude, I put off the lights. I turned my LEDs on. I got popcorn in the microwave. And I don't have to worry about people walking. I didn't mention this, but when I went to see Godzilla X Kong the first time, me and my wife were getting so annoyed because there was like 3 people in our aisle that must have got up several times each throughout the movie from beginning to end. It was the most annoying fucking thing. And I was like, this is why I prefer watching movies at home. It's just I'm getting older now, and I have less and less tolerance for idiots. If you go to a movie, whatever you need to get done, and sit down and watch the fucking movie. Why are you getting up 6 times during the movie? I swear to God, it got to a point, in all honesty, they were getting up so much, it got to a point that I was starting to be concerned as to whether or not they were plotting something. That's how much they got up. They would get up, cross the aisle in front of me and my wife, go down the stairs, down the ramp, and I'm thinking to myself, either they have a serious bladder problem, or these motherfuckers are plotting to do something.
You are one awesome motherfucker. Bobby Reynolds super chatted $20. Would you think if they do practical effects mean that are on feet working their OSS off for the hard work, and if they do CGI for everything mean they are too lazy to stand up to get someone put in front of the camera?
Look, thanks for the 20, Bobby. Look, let me tell you something right now. CGI is not lazy. I took CGI in school. I've done my own CGI scenes, and let me tell you right now, I have no desire to ever try again. It's difficult, it's time consuming, and the amount of precision and perfection it takes to make something look real that is not in fact real, dude, that does not belong in the category of lazy. And I'm not, and that doesn't mean practical effects are easier. They're not. They both present their own challenges. You know what's unfortunate? Obviously, we all criticize CGI when it looks bad, right? But the best CGI is when you're not talking about it. And for all the shit CGI that we've all seen, we've seen a lot of good CGI. Why don't we ever talk about that more? Because I can tell you right now, doing CGI is not easy. It is not easy. And I saw a documentary recently where they were talking about how the CGI field is very overworked. Very overworked. And that there's not enough people in the industry to meet the demands of studios who want CGI services. So, you know, I'll be the first to criticize bad-looking CGI. I get it. But let me tell you something right now. As someone who's had hands-on training on how to do it, yeah, no. I have no desire. It is not easy. Even if you're an artistic person, which I'm not. But even if you're an artistic person, it's grindy, man. It took me... You want to know what I did in my little CGI project? I did a little scene in like a little graveyard, and it was going to be a man bringing flowers to a tombstone. And let me tell you, what that looked like was anything but. And I was supposed to rotate the camera around. My camera ended up doing some fucking crazy loop-de-loop. I had like this little stick figure man that looked like shit. Wasn't even a person. It was literally a stick figure, and the only thing I could do was his arms by his side. I could barely get him to move, and when he moved, he didn't move his legs. It looked like complete ass. You know how long it took me to do something that looked like complete ass? 16 hours. It took me 16 hours to basically... It's like taking a shit for 16 hours. That's what I generated. I sat on the toilet for 16 hours, and that's what I shit out. Do you know how demoralizing that is? To work so hard on something, and no matter how much effort you put in, it still looks like complete shit? Yeah. Yeah, I don't envy those guys. I don't envy them. Overworked visual effects artists is the main reason we are getting bad CGI effects these days. It's exactly why you're getting bad CGI. And yeah, there's an over-reliance. I agree. Bobby, I agree with you. I think they should work more on doing practical effects. But when you give studios an opportunity to outsource, even if it costs extra money, for some reason, they're going to outsource. I got a lot of sympathy for CGI artists because they're overworked and they're always heavily criticized. But again, that doesn't mean I don't criticize it. If it's bad, I've said it too as well. Yeah, it's bad. But I know why it's bad. Well, Hollywood's going to lower their budgets eventually. They can't continue to bleed money the way they are. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Cheeto. Yeah. Yeah, man. All that kind of shit is tough to do. It's not easy. But, you know. But when the CGI is good, it is fun to watch. That's for sure. So, you know. I think the Monsterverse CGI has been good for the most part. The only time the CGI looked bad to me in Godzilla x Kong is when they showed the humans in the Hollow Earth. It just looked off. But it's alright. It wasn't like horrible or anything. Alright, guys. You know what that means. This was a lot of fun tonight. And you know how I know? Because 2 hours flew by. In fact, a little more than 2 hours, but a lot of fun. Thank you guys all for coming out tonight. We will be back tomorrow. Probably closer to 8 o'clock. I am going to have company over. My parents are going to come over. We're going to cooking a nice big dinner. We're going to chill out. But a lot of fun tonight. Appreciate you guys coming through. Thank you everybody for the donations and the super chats. Always enjoy that. And you guys have a good rest of the evening. And if I don't see you guys in the stream tomorrow night, have a good rest of the weekend. All right? All right, guys. Take it easy. Whoops. Wrong button. There it is.